So this is the Hindu, today's Hindu, and we have Indian Express also. Okay, so first of all, we'll look at the uh, front page or the first page. Okay, so what are the headlines? So first is that Netanyahu speaks to Modi inside visit. Okay, so there might be a visit of Netanyahu, who is the Prime Minister of the Israel, to India. Okay, so that is what it is. This news is likely to convey. And then second thing, center moves to restore government in Manipur. Okay, so you know that the Manipur has been under the presidential rule for a very long time. I think more than 1 year has happened. So center is now going to restore the government in the Manipur. Third one is that the first phase of census is going to be happen from April 1st, 2027. Okay, so you remember last year center has announced that they are going to conduct first digital census of India covering the entire population that will start in the 2027. Okay, so that is what is it is saying. Now, another thing is that the National Intelligence Grid, the search engine of digital authoritarianism, a tool of suspension built in the name of safety. So it is about the editorial. Okay, so page number 6. We have to go at page number 6, and then it is about this one, which is not important for us. Now let us see something more. So government pegs financial year 26 growth at 7.4% amid tariff concerns. Okay, so government is projecting that the financial year 26 will have economic growth of 7.4%. Okay, let us explore in detail. So higher estimate comes amid uncertainties and 50% US tariff hinting labor intensive sectors hard, with quarter one and quarter two growing at 7.8% and 8.2%. Second half will see average growth slow to 6.8%. Okay, that is what they are saying. Okay, so we'll not go into details. SC in disagreement with Justice Verma's claim on Lok Sabha Speaker. Okay, so we have to see this news in details. Okay, Fadnavis vows action over alliance with Congress AIM. Okay, five held for attacking police during midnight demolition drive in Delhi. Okay, so these are not important for us. Now let us look at the first page of the Indian Express as well. Okay, not Indian Express. Sorry. So we'll do the international after this complete discussion on the editorial. So let's go to page number six. Here we have. So it has been written by Apar Gupta, who is a lawyer and the Director General of the Internet Freedom Fund. So Internet Freedom Fund, you remember, this is a very known name advocating for the individual liberty. Okay, so let us see what is there. Just a second. So NetGrid, the search engine of digital authoritarianism. We tend to quantify the tragedy of the terror attack in Mumbai in November 2000 by the over 160 lives lost. 26 by 11 was be beamed into the living rooms of the country's elites for 3 days through broadcast television. The sounds of bullets and explosion, the dome of the Taj hotels swallowed by smoke, and valor of the Mumbai police played out alongside a steady refrain in studios and by commentators of a major intelligence failure. Just a minute, let me make it bigger. Okay, now I think it's good. Just a well, where it is. Then the so that charge was not a conjure out of a grave. The report by High Level Inquiry Committee, the report by the High Level Inquiry Committee on 26 upon 11 and the material placed before the parliament pointed to lapses in handling the intelligence alerts. Okay, so pointed to the lapses in handling the intelligence alerts. This intelligence failure, it was argued, was the inability to stitch scatter fragments into a coherent warning. David Colem Headley. Okay, so David Colem Headley, a key conspirator, traveled to India on several occasions, leaving a paper and pixel trail in visa applications, hotel registries, and travel in itineraries. Security hawks offered a seductive proposition. Would the lives lost been saved had those disparate data points been aggregated and analyzed in time? Evolution of a crown jewel. Now crown jewel, evolution of a crown jewel. Out of that psychological aftershock emerged institutional expansions, but the technological crown jewel was the national intelligence grid, not grid. Its premise was a middleware interface that would allow 11 specified central agencies to query databases across 21 categories routed through provider organizations spanning identity and assets, travel and movement, financial intelligence, and telecommunications. Even in its early days, the unease was visible. NatGate was the first publicly announced on December 23, 2009, in a speech by the Home Minister. The constitutional question that arose immediately was not whether the state may ever conduct surveillance, but on whether a project of this magnitude could operate without a statutory framework and independent oversight. Daily reported on February 10, 2010, Big Brother fears stall Chidambaram data plan. That ministers raised queries about safeguards and said there was a need for further study. Yet on June 14, 2012, NatGrid was cleared not through an act of parliament but by executive order and cabinet committee on security, with the first phase allocation of 1002.97 crore branded Horizon 1. For years, NatGrid's constant delays led people to believe it was vaporware, a project that existed on paper but did not actually work as a massive search engine for tracking citizens that was only announced to calm public anger after the 26 by 11 attacks. Well, it is now becoming a reality that can no longer be ignored. Two recent reports in this daily NASA intelligence grid gains traction as center agencies police escort for information December 2025, and Intel Grid linked to NPR with details of 119 crore residents December 26, 2025 reveal a quantitative and qualitative expansion of this massive surveillance project. First, following a national conference of directors general of police in Raipur in late November 2025, chaired by Prime Minister, it says for asked to scale up NatGate usage. This first report also said that NatGate receives around 45,000 requests every month. Words Axis once presented as the preserve of the Central Intelligence and Intelligence Agency is being widened to police units, including officers down to the rank of superintendent of the police, an integration that unsettles. The second development that is even more unsettling is the reported integration of NatGrid with the National Population Register. The NPR is repository. The NPR National Population Register is a repository with the details of 1.19 billion residents with the residential cartography of households, lineages, and identity. It is also politically volatile, repeatedly invoked in the acrimony surrounding the National Register of Citizens (NRC) as a prelude to citizenship filtering. Grafting a population register onto an intelligence query platform crosses a fundamental boundary. It shifts it shifts the paradigm from tracking discrete events as intelligence inputs to mapping every Indian. NatGrid's evolution is not unfolding in the technological climate 26 upon 11, but in 2025 amid rapid advances in machine learning and large-scale analytics. This daily has also highlighted the deployment of Gandhitva an analytical engine capable of entire resolution. This is further explained as providing the triangulation that is required to decide whether fragmented records belong to the same individual. Paired with facial recognition that can trawl, telecom, know your customer, KYC databases, and driving licenses record, this is no longer the state search war. It is inference at the scale and changes the nature of the risk. Here, intentions are subjectively determined by an algorithm. Two features make this qualitatively different from older surveillance database. First, the specter of bias. First, the specter of bias. Algorithms do not merely excavate truth, but reproduce distortions embedded in the data they ingest and claim that their objective are determinations based on pattern recognition. If policing is already skewed by caste, religion, or geography, analytics will harden those inequities and cloak them in the aura of objectivity. For the affluent, a false positive is an administrative nuisance. For a young Muslim man in a small town already living under a wall of suspicion, an automated hit can trigger an ordeal and misidentification may carry a blood price. Second, the tyranny of a scale. The danger of modern analytics is not omniscience, but ubiquity. NatGrid reportedly classify queries by sensitive and officials maintain that every access is logged and justified. Without independent scrutiny, these are facial safeguards. When tens of thousands of requests are processed each month, logging risk becoming a clerical ritual, particularly in the absence of autonomous oversight, which is lacking even at the level of the parliament. The lack of course correction. Defenders will fall back on the familiar claim that Nargit is a matter of life and death, but is it so once it has drifted from counter terror into everyday policing? Intelligence failures are rarely born of data draws alone. They are more often the products of institutional weakness, uh, perverse incentives, and the road of unaccountability, as we learned in 26 by 11, where the local police had not conducted any firearms training for over a year. Tragic, 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 tragically, a question seems distant. Our constitutional courts have lapsed into deep slumber, allowing the expensive privacy doctrine in Justice K.S. Putta Swamy retired versus another versus Union of India another 2007 to gather dust while the surveillance state expands. The legality of intelligence programs that lack any clear statutory foundation or meaningful oversight has not been squarely adjudicated despite multiple pending cases. In place of a scrutiny, we have a martial public temper fanned by public rhetoric and culture modeling, including mainstream cinema that treats questioning the security establishments at heresy. The result is a near silence about accountability for acts of terrorism such as the New Delhi bombing of November 10, 2025 and the heartbreaking loss of 15 lives. Is it impolite to ask whether there was an intelligence failure even with not great in place? The shock of 26 by 11 continues to haunt us, but we have mistaken the remedy. If we genuinely care about prevention, we need professional investigation insulated from political whims, transparency about intelligence lapses, and oversight vested within the parliamentary and the judiciary. Without this, NatKit is an architecture of suspicion built in the name of safety and normalized through fear but functioning in service of digital authoritarianism. Fine tune this signal to sharpen India's AMR battle. Okay, so antimicrobial resistance it has been induced, so we have to explore this. Will Prime Minister Narendra Modi's statement on microbial resistance in in his last Mann Ki Baat broadcast for the year 2025 be anagnosis, anagnosis that we have been waiting for? The galvanized action on antimicrobial resistance in India. Doctors feel that it might well be the one fell swoop in stop in its track that would easily be the biggest emerging health crisis of India. In his address 129th edition on 28 December, Mr. Modi mentioned antimicrobial resistance as a matter of concern for us. Quoting from the Indian Council for Medical Research (ICMR) dataset, he mentioned that antibiotics are proving to be less effective against pneumonia and urinary tract infections. He went on to hit at the heart of AMR crisis in India, thoughtless and indiscriminate use of antibiotics by people. These were not medicines to be taken casually or without the advice of doctors, the Prime Minister states. People have started believing that popping a pill will solve everything. But it is because of this that diseases and infections are overpowering antibiotics. Appreciably, he ended with a piece of advice that his listeners and followers will do well to religiously practice avoiding taking medicines by yourself, particularly antibiotics. Mainstreaming the subject. It is by now common knowledge that while there are many prongs that contribute to the collapsing AMR in the country, the biggest contributor is the irrational use of antibiotics, commonly known as the and overuse problem. Misuse and overuse problem. AMR, however, has remained in the preserve of the infectious diseases experts and the corridors of the hospitals and policy circles. Until now, that is where Mr. Modi remarks will make a difference, coaxing AMR out of the rare field domain into the mainstream where there is a awareness of public risk it poses along with the links to everyday behavior. By invoking national data and appealing to directly to the citizens to avoid over the counter antibiotics, the speech translates lab-based warning into public call to action from the pulpit by the head of the government. This is why it is reasonable to expect it to have an impact on the population in a manner that no other intervention in the past in the sector. First National Action Plan on Antimicrobial Resistance or ban on the colistin use as a growth factor, for instance, has managed. Striking at the broadcast base is where the success of this appeal lies, and public awareness will absolutely key in deciding whether the antimicrobial resistance numbers see an upper trajectory or whether they go down south in the further. But merely at hitting at the data, merely at hitting the base will no longer be sufficient. At this stage of the AMR pathway in India, it has grown like a hydra-headed beast, and it is one health approach that can be hit the most effectively. The need for a One Health approach has become current by force of circumstances where cognition of the interconnectedness of human, animal, and environmental health now actively shapes solutions. Most non-urban centers left out. At this juncture, enhancing the number of surveillance sites is a critical aspect to marking and following the rise of AMR in India. Experts point out the content They contend that currently, while the network is still expanding, there is still no exhaustive data set for India as a whole, represent representing a wide variance in the country. Surveillance sites are located largely in urban centers and tertiary care centers and may drive up the average, as the bulk of the non-urban centers are not even accounted for. The urgent need now is to expand the surveillance network in a manner that will provide a reasonably accurate position of humanity prevalence of AMR in India. India's national AMR surveillance data, which provides data to the World Health Organization's global antimicrobial resistance and use surveillance system, currently stands at 60 Sentinel Medical College laboratories. However, for the recent Glass report, information was gathered from 41 sites and for 31 states and union territories. NARSnet was established in 2013 to determine the magnitude and trends of AMR in different geographical regions of the country. Laboratories under this network include government medical colleges. These labs are required to submit AMR surveillance data online, property, bacterial pathogens of public health importance, and some fungal pathogens as well include private hospitals. Recently, in a letter to the Doctor of the National Center for Disease Control, Professor Dr. Ranjan Das, the nodal agency for AMR surveillance in the country, Dr. Abdul Ghaffar of the Chennai Declaration on AMR, and an infectious diseases specialist said the only credible approach is to prevent through national data not limited to tertiary care hospitals but inclusive of secondary and primary care centers across the country. If such data are included, the national resistance picture will be more balanced and representative. He also makes the case for including primary hospitals in the network too. The 2015 WHO Global Plan OMR recommended a blueprint addressing five objectives: raising awareness, extending surveillance and research, reducing infections, optimizing antibiotic use, and ensuring a sustainable investment in the new medicine, diagnosis, and vaccine. Mission Modi's speech will increase awareness, something that is essential, but expanding the surveillance network for AMR is critical function that will require investment, strategic monitoring, and enforcement, and and as much political will. Thank you.